What's up, Facebook? How's everybody doing today? What's up, Facebook? Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I want to read Daniel 5:17 and then a little bit of 6 and a little bit of 7. Let's begin, man. Daniel answered, keeping gifts or give them to someone else, but I will tell you what the writings mean. Your Majesty the Most High gave Nebuchadnezzar, who long ago preceded you, a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. He gave him such majesty that all the nations of the world trembled before him in fear. He killed any who offended him and spared any he liked. At his whim the rose or fell. But when his heart and mind were hindered in pride, God removed him from his royal throne and took away his glory. He was chased out of his palace into the fields. His thoughts and feelings became those of an animal, and he lived among the wild donkeys. He ate grass like the cows, and his body was wet with dew of heaven until the last. He knew that the Most High overrules the kingdoms of men and appoints anyone he desires to reign over them. And you, his successor, O Belshazzar, you knew all this, yet you have not been humble. For you have defiled the Lord of heaven and brought here these cups from his temple, and you or your officer and wives and concubines have been drinking wine from them while praising gods of silver, gold, brass, iron, and wood and stone. Okay, praising God of silver, gold, brass, iron, wood, and stone, gods that neither see nor hear nor knowing anything at all. Mm. Mm. Man, I'm going to read that again. 23. For you have defiled the Lord of heaven and brought here these cups from his temple, and you or your officers and wives and concubines have been drinking wine from them while praising gods of silver, gold, brass, iron, wood, and stone, gods that neither see nor hear nor know anything at all. But you have no praise the God who gives you the breath of life and controls your destiny. This is where it's important, man. Listen here. And so God has sent those fingers. God has sent those fingers to write this message. Many men wish death upon me, blood in my eyes and I can't see. You see, man, there's a reason for why they got all that in there. It's almost like a mini-me. Love your enemies. Mini-me's. You my mini-me's? So again, and so God sent fingers. He sent fingers. Remember now. Fingers and writing are two different things. When you're writing something, you're just using your finger or two. As you're writing something, it's like the Bible. You're right. But when you use fingers, that means somebody's typing something. Somebody's typing something when it says, and so God sent those fingers to write this message. Many, many men wish death upon me. Let's continue, man. We're gonna bring this in two. We're gonna bring this into two songs. We're gonna bring two songs into this thing here. Watch this here. And so God sent those fingers to write this message. Many, many men wish death on me. To write this message to Cal, Method Man, to Cal. Y'all remember the Wu-Tang? You remember Wu-Tang shadow boxing? To Cal. That's what that means. And then Parson. I know a person that got a name that ends with that. It kind of sounds like that. Parson. Like a parson. Let's continue. Many me means numbered. God has numbered the days of your reign, and they are ended. To cow means weighed. You have been weighed in God's balances and have failed the test. Parson, you know, like a parent, parson means divided. Your kingdom will be divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then at Belshazzar's command, Daniel was robed in purple, and gold chains was hung around his neck, and he was proclaimed third ruler in the kingdom. That very night Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was killed, and Darius the Mede entered the city and began reigning at the age of 62. What does he mean by that? Let's slide into 6. Darius divided the kingdom into 122 provinces, each under a governor. The governors were accountable to 3 presidents. Daniel was one of them, so the king could administer the kingdom efficiently. Daniel soon proved himself more capable than all the other presidents and governors, for he had great ability, and the king began to think of placing him over the entire empire as his administrative officer. This made the other presidents and governors very jealous. And, oh, look at him, man. Where's that peanut butter again? Man, where's that peanut butter? You sliding too much on the jelly now. Man, you sliding too much on the jelly now. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. I don't want you to get upset about what God did. This made the other presidents and governors very jealous, and they began searching for some fault in the way Daniel was handling his affairs, so they could complain to the king about him, but they couldn't find anything to criticize. He was faithful and honest and made no mistakes. So when people talk about we all make mistakes, no, it ain't. No, it ain't. This is what the Bible said, man. Be holy as I am holy. Ain't that what it say? I was just talking to my son about when people say ain't nobody perfect. Well, you perfectly wicked in all your ways. So don't ever say you're not perfect, man. God made you perfect. But they couldn't find anything to criticize. He was faithful and honest and made no mistakes. So they concluded our only chance is his religion. They decided to go to the king and say, King Darius, live forever. We presidents, governors, counselors, and deputies have unanimously decided that you should make a law. What is that? Irrevocable under any circumstances, that for the next 30 days, anyone who asks a favor of God or man except from you, your majesty, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Your majesty, we request your signature on this law. Sign it so that it cannot be canceled or changed. It will be a law of the Medes and the Persians. Well, there you go right there. It's a law. It ain't the law of God. That's just a man law. That's why it's funny. Man, this looked like a funny bunny moment right here. The laws of the Medes and the Persians that cannot be revoked. So King Darius signed the law, But though Daniel knew about it, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs bedroom with its windows open towards Jerusalem and prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had, giving thanks to his God. That sounds like a Muslim or something, don't it? Man, I'm just keep on reading now. Then the men, this is 6:11 now. Then the men, what's that, thronged to Daniel's house and found him praying there, asking favors of his God. They rushed back to the king and reminded him about his law. Haven't you signed a decree that permits no petitions to any god or man except you for 30 days, and anyone disobeying be thrown into the lions? Yes, the king replied, it is a law of the Medes and the Persians that cannot be altered or revoked. Then they told the king that followed Daniel, one of the Jewish captives, in paying no attention to you or your law. He is asking favors of his God 3 times a day. Hearing this, the king was very, very angry with himself for signing the law and to save Daniel. Determined to save Daniel, he spent the rest of the day trying to think of some way to get Daniel out of this predicament. In the evening, the men came again to the king and said, Your Majesty, there is nothing you can do. You signed the law and it can't be changed. So at last the king gave the order for Daniel's arrest, and he was taken to the den of lions. The king said to him, May your God, whom you worship, continually deliver you. And then threw him in. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with that of his government, so that no one could rescue Daniel from the lions. Then the king returned to his palace and went to bed without dinner. He refused his usual entertainment and didn't sleep all night. I wonder why. Very early the next morning, he hurried out to the lion's den and called out in anguish, O Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God, whom you worship, continually able to deliver you from the lions? Then he heard a voice, Your Majesty, live forever. It was Daniel, my God, has sent his angels. He said to shut the lion's mouth so that they can't touch me, for I am innocent before God. No, sir, have I wronged you. The king was beside himself. Ooh, made the king get beside himself for a minute. Said, wait a minute there. Wait a minute there. Did you just realize what you did now? The king was beside himself. Huh? There's no one else besides the Father, man. So what was the king really at? Ooh, man, listen here. What was the king at, man? What was the king really doing here in the situation here? The king was beside himself with joy and ordered Daniel lifted from the den, and not a scratch was found on him because he believed in his God. The king was beside himself. The king done shake shift outside himself, man. And he said, well, you know what you doing now, right? Ooh, man, listen here. Afterward, King Darius wrote this message addressed to everyone in his empire. Greetings I decree that everyone shall tremble and fear before the God of Daniel in every part of my kingdom, for his God is the living, unchangeable God, whose kingdom shall never be destroyed and whose power shall never end. He delivers his people, preserving them from harm. He does great miracles in heaven and earth. It is he who delivered Daniel from the powers of the lions. So Daniel, if you still watching me, I am you. You don't know what you don't know until you know, right? And then you still don't know. You believe you know. So Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Let's do something in 7 for a minute, man. Who was over here in Proverbs? You want me to read? Oh, that wasn't Proverbs. That was Ecclesiastes. It's Ecclesiastes. Man, listen here, Ecclesiastes 3. Read about Ecclesiastes 3. read about it. A time to be born and a time to die. Man, it's a time to be born. It's a time to die. Now you got to be ready for death every day. Every day. Got to get that one. All right, 7. One night during the first year of Belshazzar's reign over the Babylonian Empire, Daniel had a dream and he wrote it down. This is his description of what he saw. In my dream, I saw a great storm of a mighty ocean with strong winds. I'll tell you when I'm get off here. I saw a great storm on a mighty ocean with strong winds blowing from every direction. Then 4 huge animals came up out of the water, each different from the other. The first was like a lion, but it had eagle's wings. And as I watched, its wings were pulled off so that it could no longer fly. And it was left standing on the ground on 2 feet like a man. A man's mind was given to it. The second animal looked like a bear, you know, with its paws raised, ready to strike. It held 3 ribs between its teeth, and I heard a voice saying to it, "Get up, devour many people." The third of these strange animals looked like a leopard, but on its back it had wings like those of a bird's, and it had 4 heads, and great power was given to it over all mankind. Man, it's almost like I'm reading to a bunch of children here, man. That's what it's making me feel like, and it's making me feel real good about it. You know, you ever read a book to the class or something like that, and you got a whole bunch of people watching you? You got some children in there and stuff like this right here, so you got to change up the different stuff. Let's read 7:7, man, because this is the year of 7. Then, as I watched in my dreams, a 4th animal rose up out of the ocean, too. Dreadful to describe, the incredible strong and devoured some of its victims by tearing them apart. With its huge iron teeth and others it crushed beneath its feet, it was far more brutal and vicious than any of the other animals, and it had 10 horns. As I was looking at the horns, suddenly another small horn appeared among them, and 3 of the first ones were yanked out, roots and all, to give it room. This little horn had a man's eyes and a bragging mouth. I watched as the thrones were put in place, and the Ancient of Days, the Almighty God, sat down to judge. His clothing was as white as snow, his hair was like the whitest wool. He sat upon a fiery throne, brought in our flaming wheels, and a river of fire flowed from before him. Millions of the angels ministered to him, and hundreds of millions of people stood before him waiting to be judged. Then the court began its session, and the books were opened. As I watched, the brutal 4th animal was killed and his body handed over to be burned because of its arrogance against the Almighty. Let me read that again. 7:11. That's a projection. As I watched, the brutal 4th animal was killed and its body handed over to be burned because of its arrogance against the Almighty God and the boasting of its little horn. As for the other 3 animals, their kingdoms were taken from them, but they were allowed to live a short time longer. Next, I saw the arrival of a man who, so he seemed to be, brought there on clouds from heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was presented him. He was given the ruling power and glory over all the nations of the world, so that all the people of every language must obey him. His power is eternal. It will never end. His government shall never fall. I was confused and disturbed by all I had seen, Daniel wrote in his report. So I approached one of those standing beside the throne and asked him the meaning of all these things, and he explained them to me. These 4 huge animals, he said, represent 4 kings who will someday rule the earth, but in the end the people of the Most High God shall rule over governments of the world forever and ever. 1 Corinthians 15. Then I asked about the 4th animal, the one so brutal and shocking, with its iron teeth and brass claw that tore apart men and stamped others to death with his feet. I asked, that's like, if you ever want to, I'm going to leave that projection out, man, but it's concerning a boot The fact that it's concerning a boot, I'm going to go back over to 7:11. 7:11, and over here, stamped others to death with his feet. That's the boot. So all you people that know what I'm talking about, I asked too about the 10 horns and the little horn that came up afterwards and destroyed 3 of the others. The horns with the eyes of the loud bragging mouth, the one that was stronger than the others. For I had seen this horn warring against God's people and winning, until the Ancient of Days came and opened his court and vindicated his people, giving them worldwide power of government. This fourth animal, he told me, is the fourth world power that will rule the earth. It will be more brutal than any of the others. It will devour the whole world, destroying everything before it. His 10 horns are 10 kings that will rise out of his empire. Then another king will arise more brutal than the 110. Look at here, man. His 10 horns are 10 kings that will rise out of his empire. Then another king will arise more brutal than the other 10 and will destroy 3 of them. He will defy the Most High God and wear down the saints with persecution, and he will try to change all laws, moral and customs. God's people will be helpless in his hands for 3.5 years. But then the Ancient of Days will come and open his court of justice and take all power from the vicious king to consume and destroy it until the end. Then all nations under heaven and their power shall be given to the people of God. There shall rule all things forever. Listen here, man. Then all nations under heaven and their power shall be given to the people of God. They shall rule all things forever, and all rulers shall serve and obey them. That was the end of the dream. When I awoke, I was greatly disturbed, and my face was pale with fright. Daniel, now you talking. Because see, you can expose your identity in this work here. And when I tell you, man, you have to know who's praying the archetypes of Daniel. I am that I am, right? Keep being I am that I am. Keep being I am that I am. The fact that we're in this frequency today is because, this is the time for it to be adjust. You need to stick with the script of what's been going on, Daniel. You got to stick to the script because it already says it right here. When I awoke, I was greatly disturbed, and my face was pale with fright. That means Daniel was a white boy, wasn't he? Daniel might have been a white boy, right? That's okay for us to go ahead and accept the fact that it is what it is. I was greatly disturbed. My face was pale with fright, but I told no one what I had seen. Well, you better start roping in your mouth. It's nothing to pick another Daniel. We can always find another Daniel. If you can't read the me, you know the mini-me. If you can't read the memes, if you can't read the writings on the wall, you can't interpret any of this stuff like this here, you might not want to be Daniel. And people like to, oh yeah, I had a dream like that. But what does it mean? What does it mean? I had a dream last night too. It was a lot of water involved in my dream last night. Okay? I'm not going to tell you where the faucet was though. I ain't going to tell you where the faucet was, man. You do know about Archangel Gabriel, right, man? Man, you do know about Archangel Gabriel? I hope you do. Like Archangel Raphael and all those archangels and stuff like that. Jesus had a crew. Jesus had a big old crew, man. Jesus had a whole bunch, yo. Finger licking good, too, man. Jesus' crew is finger looking good, man. Better than Kentucky Fried. You got to go to Kentucky to get it fried, man. That's why I say Kentucky Fried Chicken. And if you ain't in Kentucky, you ain't getting no chicken, man. Say, oh no, that ain't true, man. My grandmama know how to cook chicken better than the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, who you think Kentucky Fried Chicken man was married to? The Kentucky Fried Chicken man was married to a black woman, man. Just go ahead and tell the truth. It's not a big deal. How you think that chicken man learned how to cook that chicken like that? Then? She must have been his concubine or something like that. But the chicken man had him a black sister. That's the chicken man had him one, man. Just like Aunt Mama had her white man. Now it's Pearl Millington. They got mad about that. Like, yeah, man. Aunt Mama, she had her white man. They, oh no, don't you be telling us the truth. What you want me to do? Tell you about this? This is what was always going on way back then. Everybody just all in their feelings about black people and white people being together, and it's the same thing with Jesus and Mary. Jesus was black, Mary was white. You know, that's why Jesus loved the whole world, because his kids was mixed. He's like, what? My kid's white too. What you mean? Kid's black too. What you mean, man? What you talking about? You racist. I can say that to both. I can say that to the black people and the white people. Y'all racist. You thinking about my kids, what your problem is. My kids ain't going to go through none of this stuff that you people went through. Now, that's the whole mission about breaking the generational curse. You had to go outside the box and break the curse. Don't you go marry over there. Don't you go and do that over there. You better not do that right there. You messing with that white woman, you better... It's like, oh, what am I going to do? That's what it is. That's what Jesus was going through. People were stressing them out. It's like, man, what you worrying about my woman for? What's wrong with you, man? I mean, it's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, what's wrong with people, man? But people and they want with others. Man, you got you a woman, don't you? Go on. What you mad about Jesus for? Huh? Jesus doing something you can't do. That's the problem. That's the problem. Jesus know how to break generational curse with no problem. He ain't got no problem with that. So now the world can learn something. They can learn something. This here about these kids, people. This ain't about you big people, your feelings about it. There's interracial kids all over the place. They caught all up in the middle of all this stuff. That has to stop. That has to stop. You see where we going with that, man? It shouldn't be a big deal for everybody. It's Happy New Year, right? Man, listen here. You know, I got my tax. This is my tax bill here, man. You know, and my kids are not part of that. Proverbs. Listen here, man. Because I'm gonna have to address this here. Because sometimes things are not fair in life, but you have to learn to go along with things. Because Romans 13 talks about you paying your taxes. The Bar Abbas Jesus, that's the one that was trying to get people to stop paying their taxes and doing all. That's the one that y'all wanted to let go. Y'all wanted Jesus killed, so they killed Jesus and let Bar Abbas go. That's the one that didn't want you to pay taxes. He was in his feelings. So then now I'm going to recreate that energy from that particular time. When you own property, you get a tax bill that you have to pay. Now, I'm going to read this real quick here. Proverbs 5 and 15. Proverbs 5 and 15. No, Proverbs 5 and 17, because I want to leave this. This one here is a little bit more this Bible is a little more graphic. So I'll leave that and I'll go to Proverbs 5 and 17. Why share your children with those outside your home? That's a question mark. Why share your children with those outside your home? Okay, so my children are homeschooled. They're taught within inside of the walls that they live in. So I have to pay taxes, right? My kids don't go to the schools, the public schools, and none of that stuff. So then you tell me, it says school district funds, $1,113.14 that I have to pay, and my kids don't even attend any of that stuff. I'm paying for these people to send their kids to school to not learn anything. So when people say stuff like, oh, I'm paying, they will be a little arrogant when they say, oh, I'm paying your salary, I'm paying. You don't do it that way. You do it this way. I own my own house, my own land, everything. I got everything set up what God promised me and gave me. The well water, Proverbs 5:15, drink from your own well water, my son. Be faithful and true to the wife that the Lord has given you. So I'm doing all these things here. So now I got to pay my taxes, which is I I don't ask anybody for no money. I don't do none of that. I don't do any of that kind of stuff like that. I don't do any of that kind of stuff like that. But right here in Romans 13, it says, Romans 13 and 6, which is 10. Pay your taxes too for these same two reasons, for government workers need to be paid so that they can keep on doing God's work serving you. Pay everyone whatever he ought to have. Pay your taxes and import duties gladly. Obey those over you and give honor and respect to all those to whom it is due. So give what belongs to Caesar. Even though I got a problem with it, there's nothing I can do about it. I have to go above my reason. They're taking over $1,000 a year from me for a school that I know is not educating the children about God. God ain't even in the school no more. But they taking my money out now. They want me to pay them to teach the kids whatever they want to teach them. But it's all part of the God's law. So they supposed to be teaching about God in the school. That's just the truth, man. That's why you got them signs. They need to have the Bible back in the school. They need that. Yeah, you need to put it back in there. That should be a class. That should be one of the classes that you got to go through, the Bible. That should be one of the grades in school. Call it religious, call it whatever you want to call it. Makes me no never mind. But it says it right here. And if I'm going to be paying taxes in it, I'm going to get what I'm going to get. And I'm going to ask the Father for that. I'm going to ask him to deal with this situation because we're paying this money to the world that we're not even a part of. We're not even a part of. My kids ain't even a part of the public schools and none of that kind of stuff like that. So they can know about who God is. And they're not teaching about God at no degree or any of that kind of stuff in the school, but yet they taking our money. This is what Bar Abbas had his problem with, and he considered his differences. So then he had a whole bunch of people together to not go pay your taxes. You're going to pay your taxes. And then God has to let God deal with all that. But this is how your heart cries out. The heart is crying out through the scriptures with the tax bill. And people, you don't own anything, you don't know what a person could be going through. But imagine your kids are at home, they're being taught about God and doing all this stuff, and then somebody ripping you off for $1,100 a year for a school that don't do anything they're supposed to do for the children. They grow up and they come out like big adults like everybody else, and then they find themselves working there. And then they don't never learn nothing. They never accomplish anything that they said they were going to do when they were first going in. They go to college for a year or two, and that's it. They come into the real world and realize that it's not just talking. Oh yeah, you can come and get this. It's not what people really think it is, man. And by the time you get out of school, you got all kinds of student loans and bills and all this stuff like that. It's like, okay, somebody gonna hire you, and now they're gonna start taking your money from you. It's like a complete system set up to keep dumbing down the kids, man. And then it plays in everybody's pocket. It plays in everybody. And people, if you don't own anything, you don't pay any taxes. Going in the store and paying taxes on your food or your clothes and stuff like that, that don't count. That doesn't count. That doesn't mean anything. But when you start to have responsibility, and if you don't pay these taxes, when the Bible telling you to do it now, if you don't pay your taxes, then they gonna come and do what they need to do. I can get on my knees and cry all day. God, what did you? God, God don't want to hear that. The Father don't want to hear none of that kind of stuff. It's what it is, man. I can't do nothing about that. All he can do is make the situation better. That's it. That's all he can do about it. I can whine and complain and all that. I ain't gonna do nothing. I can go up there to the people and say, you know, man, y'all charging me too. My kids don't even be going to school, man. I shouldn't be having to pay them. And people gonna look at me like I'm crazy. I said, yeah. You better take that up with God. That's what they're gonna tell me. That's what I want them to tell me. I want them to say, well, you better take that up with God. And that's what I want them to tell me. I said, well, thank you. That's exactly what I plan on doing. Because you can't do nothing about it. I tell the man at the office, you the boss, and you still can't do nothing about it. So I got to take it up with God, man. Ain't no big deal. Have a great day. And I'll go on about my business, man. It's nothing. And then God work it out. And then now what happened when we went in the other day? She was like that.
Look up.
God had her looking like this. Because everything that she was telling me that I had to do, and even the one that made it go through with telling us, well, I guess you stuck this. I said, no, I ain't stuck. I ain't stuck at all. Got the paperwork back, went back up there to the woman. Now she ain't there. Oh, well, you got to do this and this and this, and you got to make sure you bring me back. It's like, what? All that? Okay, well, I'll just come back when she come back on vacation. Then the day that she came back on vacation, I ain't even go back that day. So then now the one that was giving me a hard time, she's like, yeah, he ain't coming back. He ain't got the paperwork. That's what's really going on. That's what he thinking. And then voila, he just popped back up again. Like,
and he wasn't by himself.
And he wasn't by himself this time. And it's like, whoa, wow. And then now everything is just do 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 do. And now she's sitting there like.
Can't even look up.
And even another one. And you got to, and it's like, what? It's like you work in a public building. And I got you, and you got to go up, and this is just what it is, and you can't do this, and you can't, it's like, listen to what you're saying out your mouth. You're saying you can't. You exposing yourself, Satan. You just came out, you can't do that, you can't do this yet. Believe what you know until you find out the truth. You don't know the truth, so you just believe in what you know right now. And then later on, you're going to be just like the other woman.
The first one.
And watch everything, just God will make it all happen right there in front of their face, too. They just can't say nothing. And you just watch them. You have a great day.
Talking about the first one.
The first one. Oh, no, the first one.
Yeah, you remember she passed away?
Oh, she did, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first one, man, she passed away.
She had that big old attitude.
She had a nasty attitude, and she had cancer, too.
Yeah,
she was
like, I have cancer.
Yeah, and now she was projecting. It's like, yo, what are you doing right now? That's manipulation, lady. You just don't want to help. There's no helping body within inside of you. You don't know your own law, what you're doing. You're just going through protocol of what you've seen other people. When you don't want to do something, oh, here, you got to go do this. That's like going into the store. Do you have any more of these? No, we ain't got no more. Did you walk in the back and check and see if you didn't have any more before you open up your mouth and say you ain't got none? Because God's going to judge you for that. Somebody just asked you for something. You work there. You too lazy. You see? You know you don't want to be there. Somebody come up. Man, let me tell you how people don't even see how God bless and help them. You work in a store or something like that. You know you really don't want to be there. A customer comes up to you and say, do you have any more to such? Let me go check. Now you can go in the back. Whew, man. Because you already know it's back there now. You get back. That's how God gave you a breather. Now you go back there, you take a quick little breather, you get the thing back, you take it back to the person, you hand it to them. Now everything, God done, that's, man, you got to be, when that time happens, but people don't miss it. They miss it every time. Every single, because they're lazy. Nah, that's it. Whatever's on the shelf that's what it is. Yeah. That's why they have machines doing it now, because the machine ain't going to lie. The machine is going to keep it stopped. The machine ain't going to do that, man. Now you see why we doing this work, desperately doing this work every day, passionately doing this work, because we don't want you to be taken over by machines. Basically. We that little human spark that you have within you, man, we don't want it to be consumed by technology. Ain't that something? Man, I gotta go. I'm gonna cook me some.
None of your business.
Wow. I just got shut down. Man, she said none of your business, man.
But then they might try to go make it too.
Like, yeah, let me go in there and make me some of this right here. But yeah, I want everybody to pay attention to that. When you get a tax bill, you have to pay your taxes, man. Even though you're not happy about these particular things, and you know you have nothing to do with it, but yet they take it, and that's the highest one on this whole thing is the school. The government is only 420, and everything else is under 200. But the school, that one's 1100. And my kids don't even go to school at all. You see the unfairness that happens to everybody all over the world, and then when people paying taxes and stuff, those are people that they've been telling you, you guys get to sit around and do all this stuff and when we pay taxes into this stuff for you people to sit around and do nothing. You don't even want to educate yourselves. You don't even want to educate yourself, and somebody's suffering. You people don't ever look at the world that way. But the Bible said the government workers need to be paid. Everybody need to be paid. So you guys like to be paid too in every way you can. So then this is how it is. Somebody got to suffer for you guys to eat. Somebody got to suffer. And if they don't do these things, then their whole kingdom is shut down just because of a tax bill. And the people don't even know. But the person never says anything about it. It's God's responsibility. It's not mine. This tax bill, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's God's responsibility. That ain't me. That ain't me. And that ain't her either. You see, man? There's a difference. See, when you know what you know already, that ain't got nothing to do with me. So certain things will be put in place so it's taken care of. We just put in the extra footwork and, God will make a way. God will always make a way, man. God will turn that into the pennies on the dollar. God will turn the whole building to pennies on the dollar, man. I'm telling you. I'm telling you what we know already, man. Man, I gotta go. Peace, love, and unity across my father's land. If anybody don't know it, the father's the mother. She married God, of course. This is the new year, man. This is the new year. According to the biblical narrative of the Catholic calendar that we are all on, this is the new year. So let's rejoice and be glad, because a year could be a day. So let's rejoice and be glad in the day. Today is the day that the Lord has made. Even though you might get a chance to experience tomorrow, it still ain't tomorrow, because today is the day that the Lord has made. Take no thoughts for tomorrow, for you forgot about yesterday's blessings today. Remember now, God did something yesterday, and you ain't gonna forget today. You ain't gonna forget today, and I'm gonna remind you tomorrow. You see? So we on the same accord. We gonna keep reminding you, man. Ain't nothing gonna stop it now. We gonna keep reminding you. You say, oh yeah, there it is right there. I need that reminder. That's the reminder right there. The Bible is too lazy for me. That's what it is, man. To read the Bible is lazy, isn't it? You got to read it and you got to try to understand and all that. And then when the living Bible start talking, you're like, well, wait a minute here. Them words can't speak like that. Them words can't do that right. Them words can't come out that paper like that. Yeah, you're right. The living God. What's that? Philippians something 2:4 something like that. You should have the same attitude as Jesus Christ, who thought he was God. Didn't take the right as being God, even though that was his rightful place, being God. He humbled himself. You see, man? That's what Jesus Christ did. Everything. Jesus bad and it was. I said, what? That Jesus there? Yeah, what's the problem? It's not a big deal. Okay? Just like it wasn't the first time. It ain't one this time. You just can't believe this stuff because the whole world's been reading about this stuff for thousands and thousands of years. It's like, what? How could this be? That ain't no Jesus. How you know? You ain't know Jesus look like you do. Jesus got skin too. So you just gonna tell Jesus he ain't got no skin? Oh, Jesus don't ever go to the bathroom or none of that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, Jesus don't go to the bathroom. Jesus don't eat. Jesus don't eat. Man can't live off bread alone now. That's what Jesus was talking about. That. Jesus, that means he had to eat something. Now, you can eat all that bread, you can't live off that alone now. You gonna need something else. You gonna need something else. Because there gonna be some times where, you ain't gonna be able to get none of that right now. You gonna need that other stuff. You gonna need that other food, that other bread. There's some other kind of bread. And when you ain't got no bread, it'll help you get through that bread. Ooh, man, then you get some more bread. Bread is bread. Depending on my sheep and how they hear it. Bread is bread, baby. Huh?